go wherever you want to take.
Hi, Minesh Baxi here, and we have Ian and Angie Wagner here. Wonderful couple. I've known Ian for almost 10 years now. He's a great guy, very enthusiastic, great charismatic personality, and Angie will agree with that, right? And so to me personally, it's fun to know him in his different roles and stuff like that. So he's going to talk about a very interesting topic, and the topic is about teaching old school technology from the old times to the new people. But before we go further, Ian, welcome. Angie, welcome.
Thank you, Minesh.
Fantastic. So, Ian, you recently got married. So tell us a little bit about, your relationship here. It looks like Angie is very happy. You are very happy with big smiles on your face.
Marriage has been a huge blessing for both of us. And we just got married just over 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. And as we were discussing right before the show started, we did a 3-week honeymoon.
Let her tell.
Yeah.
Ian,
it was a
you
surprise.
Can keep talking. You can keep talking.
Surprise.
I know, but I would rather have hear Angie here. So, Angie, you were a recipient of a honeymoon vacation that you didn't know where you were going. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yep. We got engaged in March and then got married in August. And he helped with a lot of planning with the wedding, but traveling is not one of my fortes, and he loves to travel and he knows how to plan it. So I just let him run with it, and he surprised me with the 3-week honeymoon. And the first week was a 7-day Caribbean cruise, and then the following 2 weeks was a trip to Thailand.
Wow.
So we did a lot. There was, any kind of animal you can imagine was involved with that.
Yep,
including being in a cage with tigers.
That was part of it.
That was part of it.
That was part of the experience, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You would have never imagined that could be the case.
No.
And from what I understand is you didn't even know where you were going first.
No. And even at the end of the first week, we were on Symphony of the Seas, which is currently the largest ship in the world. And when we stepped foot off of that after the first week of the honeymoon, she still did not know where the next 2 weeks were. And that's the way that she wanted it, and it made it more fun for me to kind of have it unveil one step at a time,
Well, that takes a lot of trust, obviously. But anyway, you're getting married, so you should have trust in that respect.
Yes.
Now, did he know what you enjoyed? That's why he had that?
I had never been on a cruise before, but he knew that I had been wanting to go on one.
Okay.
So he just kind of planned the whole thing out, and it was a great experience. And now I keep saying we need to go on another cruise. So.
Yep, she's got the bug now.
Well, I love cruises because once you are there, first of all, you don't pay for anything else, right?
Exactly.
And then you go to as many different types of foods and entertainment as you want. And frankly, it's just so much of like a big menu buffet, basically, all the time.
Yep.
And that's what it is all about as well. Mm-hmm. And what do you do for a living?
So I'm a nurse. So I'm an operating room nurse down in Ann Arbor. So
fantastic. So good. So let me switch to you now. Just talk a little bit about your career. You've been in sales for a long time.
Yes. Yep. So total about 12 years. And, the last about 6.5 years have been in B2B sales.
Okay. For those people who don't know what B2B sales is, it is business to business instead of business to consumer.
Exactly. Thank you for the clarification. And so I work and meet with CFOs, CEOs, and CHROs of companies in the Metro Detroit area.
So C-suites.
C-suite, but usually specifically those three roles. And then companies that have between 150 to 1,000 employees domestically.
Okay.
So some of the companies I work with actually have tens of thousands of employees if you include their overseas workforces. But we focus on the 150 to 1,000 domestic headcount. And I meet with that C-suite to understand what their goals are over the next 12 to 18 months internally, strategic goals, and then we tie that back to the offerings that my company, Automatic Data Processing, offers. So a lot of people know ADP for payroll, but frankly, that's only about 17% of what we do. So I focus more on a lot of our shared service models and leveraging not just technology, but really, truly these shared service models to help the executives build out a business case, figure out what's the ROI going to be by, raising our invoice from ADP, but then what do we get in return for that? So it's a lot of strategy type work.
Well, that's interesting. You are such a young man, right? And I know a long time ago you were with Best Buy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Selling cameras, which is still one of my passions.
Interesting.
Yes.
And for a young person to approach some of these highly successful people, tell me a little bit about overcoming fear, getting in front of them.
Yeah.
Tell us.
No, I think that's a great great question. That's part of why, I wrote this ebook called Gaining Access.
Mm-hmm.
Is really early on in my career. Yeah, I still remember the very first time I called a CFO in my role here, 6.5 years ago. I had just moved in to a new place in Rochester. My office was not even set up, and I needed to knock out some dials, and so I called up the CFO, and I still remember being so nervous because even though I had been in sales at that point for about 5 years, this was just totally different, and it was subject matter that I was not familiar with at the time. And so I always look back at that. I think he was the CFO of a hospital up in the Flint area. And, I always think back at how different that was and how sort of intimidating it was. But, you just have to do it. And then over time you gain more confidence. And really I would say in the last, 36 months or so, it's at the point where, I am extremely confident in my role because I've seen so many executives sign on the dotted line and then also be happy with it after the fact. And so I know that, it's not just theory. I've got many CFOs throughout Southeast Michigan who can verify that, what we're talking about actually does make business sense.
Yeah, and today's technology, smartphones, you all know, you're all very, very young people.
Yeah.
And like yesterday, I was at a Chick-fil-A line with my children at Somerset Mall.
Yeah, love that one.
Exactly. And the parent behind me had a kid who's like 2 years old and with a camera, cell phone and watching YouTube and stuff like that. 2-year-old, very comfortable using it. And then I stand and watch there were 4 people whose order had already been taken. And these 4 adults were all glued to their cell phone as well. But there was no communication, right?
Yeah.
Like the person next to you, the person behind you, forward, etc. There is no communication taking place. And that's pretty common for most people today. Would you agree with me on that?
Totally agree.
So how do you tell those people that gaining access should start with maybe picking up the phone and dialing instead of just texting?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. In this age, and what I bring out in really the preface of the ebook is, here we are in the year 2020. Essentially, you've got so many different options for communication methods, from texting to social media to email. But really, when I look at in my type of a role, and even some of my previous roles in B2C roles, what ends up being most effective, if you do it properly, is picking up a phone, dialing the keypad, pressing send, and then effectively setting that meeting with the decision maker. And sometimes you have to do it as part of a multi-touch campaign, which I get into that into the ebook as well. So sometimes you might start with physically, another big differentiator, believe it or not, in this day and age, which really goes back to like selling methods from the 60s and 50s, is doing a drop, right?
Yeah.
Going in, dropping something off for the executive, letting them know that you'll be calling them the next day, or maybe later that week, and or then also shooting them an email, letting them know that you'll be calling them early tomorrow morning. Time of day matters. I love calling C-suite executives, in that 6:45 to 7:45 a.m. hour, because most salespeople don't show up till 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yes.
And so, and most C-suite folks are in very early, so it's a perfect time to be able to connect with them. So I think it's important, sales and consulting in general is a great, career path. A lot of people are a little bit scared of that term, sales at some level.
Yes.
But I'm very thankful that 12 years ago my mind was really open to the idea of sales, even though nobody directly in my family was really in that. And so my passion for writing this and starting the millennialcoldcaller.com website, and I'll probably be writing future ebooks as well, and maybe even doing one-off coaching for sales folks, is because I think millennials need to know that, there's no shortage of money in our economy. And if you're in the right profession, and sales is a great option, and if you want to be effective with it, you need to invest in yourself. You're the king of, teaching people, right, how to invest and spend money for coaching in order to then achieve greater results. So.
Absolutely. Here is the bottom line. If somebody knows and has a result that you want, automatically it makes sense to go learn from that person.
Exactly.
Like you're obviously a great nurse, so if I want to pursue a nursing career, I would be like, okay, Angie, teach me, what does it take to be a great nurse?
Yes.
Same thing with cold calling and all these other things that you do. It would be obvious that I would go to somebody like that to gain access to it. So in today's world, a lot of people want to shortcut some of the methods, but courage is always going to be required to start the
Exactly.
conversation, right?
And you have to have fun with it too, you know.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah, you have to have fun with it. You have to, at the end of the day, you just kind of have to not care, right? If you get told no, because frankly, you know, the old saying, and I think I even mentioned it in the book, but you know, he who gets the most no's wins. Meaning,
Obviously,
it's just a numbers game. So the more activity you have, which I heavily focus on activity in the book, because frankly, you know, a lot of folks in a lot of professions, but especially in sales, you know, you want to try to figure out, you know, why you aren't getting the results that you want. And so you're trying to think of all these very strategic, you know, reasons of maybe what it is. But frankly, the unfortunate and hard truth a lot of times is just lack of activity. And so part of, and I hope it's okay that I'm plugging this, but part of, you know, when people purchase the ebook, I also include for free an activity tracker that I actually developed for myself about 18 months ago. And it's been very effective over my last 18 months of taking my personal accountability to even another level. And so that's something that I include when people purchase the ebook, because I don't just want them to learn the strategy. And by the way, the ebook, you know, millennials don't like to read. So the ebook is laid out in more of almost, it's a lot of bullets. It's easier to consume.
Sure.
You know, I have visuals, and it's only 38 pages. And then, but it's 38 pages of a lot of great content. We've got already some great reviews. In fact, I just got another one that I need to put out on the website. So we've got different presidents of local companies in Michigan who run sales teams who have been giving me just some really great reviews. But that's great in theory. But then the activity tracker that I then share out helps you then make sure that you actually implement it in practice. And so what I really focus on is saying, hey, if you take these different topics that I cover in the ebook and implement them, that this month your sales should increase by minimally 20%. And that's if you're, you know, that's if you even just implement like one idea. If you're a newer person, it would not be unlikely to think that your sales could double. Even in just the first month. And frankly, I really believe that. So I put a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if people don't think that it really made an impact, I'll gladly send back the $17, you know, that they paid for the ebook. So
yeah. So how can people get access to your book?
yeah, so it's millennialcoldcaller.com, and millennial is a little bit of a tricky word to spell. So it's MILLENNIAL and then coldcaller.com. I'm sure we can link it maybe in the podcast.
Absolutely.
Or
We
something.
can. Yeah, you can email or text me, and then I can make sure that it is part of the edited version and the description of that as well.
So just to mention this, so I do have it listed at $89 because again, even if you get one extra sale once, that it would pay for $89, right? But in the month of December, we have a promo called DEC17. It's on the website, so that knocks it down to $17. And then we also throw in the $49 tracker for free as well. And you know, over time we'll run different promos because I know, you know, people may watch this in the future. So just check the website to see what promos we have.
I totally agree with you. So any last words, last thoughts from you, Ian?
Yeah, I would say. Well, first off, Merry Christmas, Minesh.
Thank you.
It's Christmas time, obviously, here in Michigan. It's our favorite time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I would say, you know, I'd love feedback. So for anybody who's watching this interview, you know, if they go out to the website and if they buy the ebook, I would love for them to not only read it and implement it, but to send feedback or suggestions. And even if, you know, maybe you decide, hey, this doesn't look like a good ebook, I don't want to buy it, great. Shoot me an email. My email's right at the bottom of the website. I'd love to hear, you know, what you would like to see different. I'm very into just trying to produce content that's actually, you know, usable for millennials who, again, may not be used to this idea of picking up a phone and calling a CFO, or even, you know, for B2C, even picking up a phone and just calling a husband and wife, right? To sell life insurance or whatever it may be. So
Very, very interesting from that perspective. I'm sure people can gain access to the book itself and get some ideas about it as well.
yes.
Well, best wishes to your new marriage here. So
Thank you,
congratulations to both of you. You look happy together. You've had a great start, and I know you'll have a great life together. I
Thank
definitely wish you both the best. Thanks again for watching. Good luck to you.